get this sorted. Sorry, not very prepared for this stream. I've just had my daughter on the phone. She's trying to get the train home. She's only still on the wrong platform, so she was just I had to have a video call with her and make sure she got her ass over to the right platform before she ended up further away. But it's like when you're young, you've got to learn these things, haven't you? So I just wanted to make sure she was okay. So I was going to actually make a thumbnail for this video. I was going to edit a nice thumbnail, do a nice description, get it all sort of ready, get the laptop fired up, get all that ready. But instead, our Maisie's ringing me. Dad, I'm at this train station and there's no trains for Ellesmere Port. And anyway, she was on the wrong side of the flipping train track. So I'm like, give me a minute, I'll video call you. Show me the platform, show me where you are. So she showed me. I said, show me the front of that train. What does it say on it? And I know the train station she's at, so I figured it out straight away. I was like, right, get over the bridge, get on the other side of the platform. And I'm looking, I'm thinking, it's 5 to 7. It's 3 minutes to 7. I was like, right, show me the screen so I can see what trains are coming. So she's sorted now. She's on the right side. But I did say to her, I said, I'm going live on YouTube in literally 1 minute. I said, if it's an emergency, Maisie, phone me. If it's not an emergency, don't phone me, sweetheart. I said, if you're okay, then fine. I said, but if it's an emergency, phone me, and I'll have to end the live, and I'll just drive up and come and get you. But anyway, I think she's all right now. So if the phone goes anyway, and it's Maisie, then I'll have to go. Zazzy, hey Kirk, haven't been on a live stream for a while. Hope things are going well. Spot on, mate. Not too bad. Just finished today. Matty is back. Only just finished today. Love the luxury of time to live stream. Yeah. Oh, mate, I'm a bit tight for time, to be honest with you. This morning, Sunday morning, I've been out. I've been to sort the bathroom ceiling out, which was bizarre actually. So all I had to do today was look at 2 jobs and skim a little bathroom ceiling. Now I wasn't booked in to do this bathroom ceiling, but I worked for this lad's parents ages ago, and they said, "Oh, our son's a tiler who does bathrooms." Anyway, he phoned me out the blue a couple of days back. He said, "Kirk, can you help me out? Can you come and do a bathroom ceiling for me?" I'm thinking, I'm snowed under. I'm sort of fell behind on a job because it's like a can of worms. It's pushed into all my other jobs, but I don't like saying no. So I said, yeah, I'll sort it for you. I'm looking at jobs on Sunday. I'll squeeze it in Sunday morning. So anyway, I went there this morning, knocking on the door. Nothing. Looking, I'm not looking through the window, but I've clocked through the window. The telly's on. There's a cup of tea, a full cup of tea, like on the coffee table, and a pair of flip-flops right in front of the couch. Knocking on the door, I'm like, no answer. So thinking, there's a cup of tea and the telly's on, and the flip-flops are right where the feet would be. So I'm thinking, what's going on here? I phoned him up and said, mate, I'm at this job for you. I haven't got long because I've got to go to Manchester and look at a job, and I've got to look at another job in Tarpley on the way back. This is my only sort of day off, and I want to get this little job done. I said, I don't know where your customer is, but it looks like he's been abducted by aliens because everything's in the right place. His shoes are there, his cup of tea's there, and his telly's on, but he's not here. So anyway, he phones the customer, phoned me back. He said, look, he's really sorry, Kirk, because I don't want to mess you around. He said he's been pestering me to get this ceiling done so he can get his bathroom suite in, but he's gone to golf. He's gone out flicking around the golf. I said, are you sure? Like, I'm looking through the window. I can see his shoes. Like, his flip-flops are right where he... Oh, anyway. So then I was like, right. Okay, go and get the missus, because I haven't spent much time with her and the baby. I said, come on, we're going to have to go to Manchester as like a little family outing and look at a job whilst we're there. So I'm still in my work crap. I didn't have time for nothing. Shot over to Manchester, met a lovely fella who, in fact, I actually ended up pricing his job for him because he's seen me on YouTube. So that's like a contact from off this. I've been overseeing him, looked at a job on the way back, literally just got back home, had something to eat, and we just nipped off for a little bite to eat on the way in. Trying to sort a few quotes out. I've been like I've been trying to munch my way through this thing as best as I possibly can and book all my jobs in down the line. I'm getting ready for this stream, and then our Maisie's messaged me because she's on the wrong side of the. Oh, so it's all flipping busy. Sunday seems to be the busiest day of my life, even though it's my day off, or meant to be my day off. But anyway, oh, that was the other thing I was doing as well. Because I've just noticed, because I've just seen Danny Arbuckle pop up in the comments. I'm in the middle of putting more content into the coaching group, but I can't do that because by the time that was uploading, it's time to do this because it takes loads of time to import. When I make, I like going live, you see, because I'm a bit. It's like cheating me. If I make a video, I have to literally record the video, then upload the video to an editing app on my phone, because I can only do it on my phone. My laptop's not fast enough to do it. Like, it hasn't got the this whole thing. Like, it's okay, but it hasn't got the power to do things quickly. My phone's great for it, so I have to upload it to me. This edit, which takes like half an hour, then edit it, which takes like, I don't know, depending on how good I want to do the edit, it takes forever, and then I have to like upload it back to my phone, which then that takes the longest. Once it's back on my phone again, then I have to upload it to YouTube. So that whole process literally takes just the uploading and download, I don't know what you call it, importing and all this caper, takes literally about 3 hours for every single video I ever upload. Now, to go live, I just literally go, boop, and there I am. So do you see why I like going live? I asked in the, I've just turned the laptop on now. I asked in the comments section, do you prefer the live Q&As or the pre-recorded and edited type? Anyway, 69% said they preferred the lives. So I'm sorry, 31%, because I'm lazy. We're doing lives. Unless that changes, unless more people prefer me to edit the videos, then I'll potentially start doing the edited type. But anyway, here we are. And I've just opened my first can of beer anyway, so cheers to you all. I hope you all had a good weekend. Hope you all had if you watch the National and you put a bet on or anything, I hope you had a win. I personally don't watch it because I heard enough about horses from my missus. The things make me feel sick. Thinking about horses, I don't even want to know about them. Every time my missus mentions horses, it costs me money, so I don't even want to. People were like, "Oh, do you want us to put the National on? Have you got a bet on?" Like, I don't want to see them. I flipping hate horses. I've seen enough of them. So anyway, we've got a few questions loaded up on the laptop, but before I get stuck into them, I'm just going to say the few hellos because I think a few people have just written quickly. Evening, mate, by M. Michael Dix, evening, Kirk. Been waiting all day for this lot. Took one of your tips the other day with angle bead and scrim. Glad you like that one, mate. Sticking beads on with scrim when you can't get fixings. Forgot my staple gun. It clicked. Kirk's scrim tip, lol. Yeah, well, it's not ideal. You've got to be very gentle when you scrim a bead on. I mean, ideally, if you can bed them on, that works, but scrim works as well, from depending on what's going on. Glenn Monteith, can you put half time in if plastering an Artex ceiling? Yeah, I pretty much always use half time because the process I do when I put the first coat on and flatten it and let it pick up takes ages, so I always put half time in the first coat anyway. So, and then depending on how big it is and how fast you want to go, and when it comes to half time as well, so you know, it's designed or it's packaged. It's not designed. It's packaged. One sachet or sachet. I don't know. You say tomato. I say tomato. One of those little sachets. One of these things. That's an extra time one. It's designed for half a bag of the half time. So if you've got half a bag of finish, put one sachet in it. So if you want, like if you're quite quick and you've got a full bag, you can put 2 sachets in. It makes it half time. I mean, a lot of times we skimmed the wall Saturday. We did all of a job, and then we had to go to another job and just skim a wall just to top the wages up on the way home. Just a little Brucey bonus, and it was just one wall, and we put 4 sachets in one bag of finish, and we were done in about 40 minutes. So just one little way of getting a few extra quid in not much extra time on the way home from work. Um, let's have a look. Okay. Samuel Rowlands. Hi, Kirk. Is the new group only for business and selling yourself on jobs, or is it plastering tips and stuff as well? Now, if you want plastering, so basically, my YouTube channel is all plastering tips, tricks, how-tos, guides, stuff that it's not always textbook stuff. I'm assuming that you know a bit sometimes about plastering, and I'll show you different ways of doing things, which is funny because then guys say, that's not the right way of doing it. You're not meant to do it. And I'm like, I know. You already know the right way. I'm just showing you another way, so you've got a little trick up your sleeve in case the right way can't work for some reason, and you know a different way of doing it. So my YouTube channel is all plastering. That's what it's for. So the little private coaching group, there's no plastering tips and tricks in there. There's no the guys have got basically constant access to me. If they want to know something, they can message me, they can ask it in the group, they can private message me. They've got complete access to me at all times, basically. Well, when I say all times, I do go to sleep. So I do spend a bit of time with the missus, that's how I ended up with 4 kids. So not too much time with her, but enough just to make sure she's all right. But yeah, so they can ask me plastering stuff, but really the main focus of the private group is just focused on mainly how to generate loads of leads, how to get loads of work in, how to sell yourself properly when you get to a job, how to make sure that the customer picks you, even if they've had 10 other people there. Well, it's not ideal, but if they've had other plasterers there, how to make them sort of still want to choose you, even if you're the most expensive, and also how to get the money right up, as well. So you're getting the most carrot for what you can do. So that's what the coaching group's all about. But yeah, you can ask me plastering stuff in there, but it's not really for that. All my plastering knowledge is going on this YouTube channel. So you guys that aren't subscribed to the group, you ain't missing out on no plastering knowledge. It's all on the YouTube channel, or it's all gonna be. Slowly, as I can sort of pick the jobs off, get the right jobs to show you the stuff, it's gonna be on the YouTube channel. So there's stuff coming soon, loads of floating. Guys are always asking me about floating, sand and cement screeds, line work, running molds, all that sort of caper. That'll all be on the channel as well soon, when I get the jobs that I can record on. I'm currently still on that flipping job where we are taking the timber off and having to brick up where, it's just a nightmare. So that's why the videos at the minute are very few and far between, just because there's not really anything interesting I can show you. I could just film me being depressed on this job that's taking forever, trying to get this timber out the walls. It was meant to take us 3 or 4 days. I think it's took us about 14 days to get all the timber work out the wall. It's like pitch pine Tudor, what was meant to be cladding, but it's not structural, but it's actually in the wall. It's like 4 inches thick, and it's every courses it's nailed with like 6 nails, 2 that way, 2 sort of dovetailed across every 5 courses. And this stuff, it's rotten in places, that's why it's coming out, but in some places it's not rotten, and it just does not come out. You can put crowbars behind it, you'll bend crowbars. I mean, flipping it's horrendous. Basically, the way we got it out in the end was we just getting flat wood bits in our impact guns and drills, well, in my impact guns and drills. We burnt a few batteries out because basically we got electric ones, plug-in ones, and we were just going through drill bits. Basically, once you've drilled about 30 holes with a flat wood bit in this stuff, because as you go through the timber, you hit brick, and it burns the bit out after about 20 holes. So we went through a couple of £100 worth of drill bits, and we just had to become little termites and just drill holes all over this wood so it'd just fall apart. I don't even want to think about it. It's done now anyway. We took all the wood out. We've had to cut then bricks into slivers, like brick slips. It was cheaper to cut the bricks than what it was to buy the slips. So that's why we did it that way. Let's cut the bricks and then basically fill in where all the timber was. And now we've just started scratch coating and meshing it. So this job soon we'll top coat it, and then we're going to hit it with a Tyrolean finish to match the house, and that'll be done. And then I'll be on some other jobs that I can record and show you some videos of what we're doing. Right, Danny. Danny Arbuck, you can only do what you can do, mate. Never enough hours in the day. Telling me, mate. I end up staying in this little flipping man cave until about 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes, trying to get everything sorted. Malcolm Wooten. Hi, Kirk. Do you find sometimes you have to sugar soap kitchen and bathroom ceilings before you skim to wash off fats in kitchens and soap residues in bathrooms? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I tend not to. If there's loads of like grease or nicotine all over the ceiling, because it does bleed through your plaster, we tend to just try and get those overboarded or rip them out. So I don't stuff like that. I always sort of advise the customers to do it. Like it's like wallpaper stripping. I mean, suppose like washing off nicotine and grease and wallpaper stripping. I'd lump all the same sort of menial tasks, and I just say to the customers basically, look, we can do this for you. We can strip the wallpaper off. Don't say this to your customers. It depends what type of customer they are, but I would say to them when it comes to stripping wallpaper, and they go, oh, do you strip the wallpaper or do we have to do it? And I always say, listen, if I strip the wallpaper, I'll be the most expensive stripper you've ever had in your life. So I always I just say to them, look, now, wallpaper stripping, I'll be charging you a tradesman's rate for stripping wallpaper. I mean, anyone can do it. I've got a steamer. I've got 3 steamers in my workshop here. And I just say, if you haven't got a steamer, I can borrow you one and you can use that and do it yourself, or, get some young lad in to do it, your nephew or something, get him to, give a young lad a couple of quid to strip all the wallpaper off for you. Save yourself paying me. The Travelling Mason says, cheers. Zazzy, also Kirk, I heard some rumours that tutors in Newcastle have been recommending their students to watch your videos for homework. Sound. Hopefully I won't lead them astray. Won't be teaching them nothing that I'm not meant to. I mean, you could sort of say you go to the college to learn the textbook correct ways, and then you sort of come to Kirk and learn the cheats. Like how to get to level 2 dead quick. Trial talk, here's my mate Stuart. Good evening, Kirk. You're doing a cracking job, pal. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Stu. You're a gentleman, mate. Stu, I was waiting to hear from you on Friday. I thought you were going to pop in and see us on your way from seeing Joel Cook. I thought I might have got a little visit from you, mate. But I know what it's like. You're a busy man. I'm the same, mate. You're all over the place, aren't you? Paul Strayed, hey up, matey. Douglas, Life, Evening, Kirk, Matt from Norfolk, signing in. Nice to see you, mate. Jimmy's Building Services, how are you doing? The Travelling Mason, is putting Feb in multi-finish a bad idea? Yep, that's a bad idea, mate. So, Feb is an air entrance. It basically puts air into the mix, makes it nice and fluffy to work with. It's specifically designed for sand and cement, mate, so you don't need to plasticize. You don't need to put it in finishing plaster. I wouldn't recommend putting it in finishing plaster. I don't know what it does because I've never done it, but it doesn't need to be in there. So definitely, I mean, I can't see it helping in any way, so I wouldn't put it in finishing plaster. Glenn Monteith, cheers, Kirk. Right. Ian Turner, use bead fix tape if you can't get a nail or staple fix for your angle beads. Yeah, bead fix tape. I mean, I would use that if I had it. But I've never had it. I've never used it, but I've seen it. Looks good stuff. Hopefully, so if anyone's watching this and I'll keep waiting for the. I've been hit by about 2 or 3 people trying to plug me to recommend their products and stuff on my channel. And if someone's sort of recommended a decent product that I thought would be really good, then I'll do it. I'll sort of recommend it. But what I say to them is, listen, I'll recommend your products. I would like someone from the bead fix tape people to send me some of that out, and I'll do a little review for them. But I always say as well, if I'm going to recommend your stuff, you've got to send me plenty of it because I want to give some away to my subscribers. So someone was trying to get me to do these green line lasers, and I said, look, send me 5 units because I want to give them away. But never heard back from them, so that was the end of that. Jamie B, Hey, Kurt, love the content. Have you any advice for starting out on your own after working for someone else? Right, yes, I have got advice for you, mate. Starting out by yourself can be a little bit daunting. Basically, your main thing that you're going to need to do is to start getting working yourself, generating lots of work. Because I'm assuming if you work for someone else, you can already do the job. It's just a case of getting work in. So there's a few things that you can do. You can advertise. You can get flyers printed off. You can do advertising on social media, that sort of stuff. But also, I mean, my private group is ideal for you, mate. I mean, that's what it's specifically designed for, is to help people with that side, not the plastering side, but the actual business side, advertising, getting in work. I mean, for free as well. I don't like sort of like paying to advertise. I like to advertise for free. So that's what my group is all about, how to do that and how to price jobs and how to win jobs. So I mean, I'd recommend you do that. Join my group. Cost you 30 quid a month, which some people go, he's a rip-off, but I guarantee you'll make a lot more than 30 quid out of being in the group within the first month. The group will pay for itself, I guarantee it. But the other thing, anyway, forget about me going on about my group, trying to plug my group all the time. All I'm trying to do is spam you to join my group. Forget about that for a minute. Another interesting thing, when you work for somebody else, this is what I think sort of puts like shackles on tradesmen. Because when you work for someone else, you've sort of been paid, probably, I'm not saying you have, but usually you're paid like a day rate. And then when you leave that person, you've sort of got in your mind that that's what you're worth. So let's just use numbers out the sky. Let's just say that you've been working for somebody else and they've been paying you £100 a day. So when you go off on your own, you've sort of got in your head this £100 a day sort of figure. So when you go looking at jobs, you think, oh, I can do that in a day, or that'll take me 2 days, and you sort of you price yourself in 200 quid, which really is not anywhere what you want to be doing, because that's when when you're working for somebody else, they're taking care of everything for you, aren't they? When you're working for somebody else, they're pricing the jobs, they're getting the materials, they're sorting out if there's any problems, any issues, they're doing all that. They've sort of got the work in, when you're doing it, your price needs to go up, because now you're taking over all those things as well. You're providing the customer service, the whole package, not just turning up and doing the labour. So that's just one thing to watch out for, mate. If you're going off and working for yourself, just bear in mind that your value has gone up now, because you aren't just doing the job, you're taking care of the customer, the whole experience. If there's an issue with the job, you're going to go back and sort it, and all that sort of stuff. So take that into account, mate, that you are worth more on your own than as a hired man. Okay. Bert, how do you deal with the polystyrene ceiling? Asked you earlier. Yes. Okay. So those polystyrene tiles that are on people's living room ceilings, kitchen ceilings. Sorry, I'll just turn that heater off. Whenever I come in here, I put this little heater on, but because it's all Kingspanned, it turns into like a sauna within about 5 minutes. So you're watching me go redder and redder. Polystyrene ceiling tiles. I don't like to overboard them. If you find them on the ceiling, I don't like to overboard the ceiling tiles, because they do compress a little bit. So if you put your board up and you put 2 screws in, say 4 screws in a board to hold it still, them screws will go in, they'll be countersunk on the board. But the more screws you start to put in as you countersunk them, it starts to pull the board tighter and tighter. And the first set of screws then start to not be as countersunk, they're sticking down. And then you've got the case where the board sort of has got like nail pops with screws, where the board can move up and down, but the screw sort of stays still like this, and plaster pops off. So any sort of polystyrene ceiling tiles, scrape them off. Now, the glue underneath can cause bubbling when you're skimming. I mean, you can get over it. It's not a problem. You can skim over it. But if you're going to overboard the ceiling, I'll scrape the tiles off first and then potentially overboard it or over skim it. But remember, those ceiling tiles, just I'm just doing a brain dump on you here. Those ceiling tiles were put up years and years ago. Chances are they're put up in houses that have got lime wash paint in them. So check for lime wash paint on the ceiling. Distemper, check for that. They were put in a lot of older properties, and you definitely want to get rid of the ceiling tiles because if you have a fire, they flipping drip hot fire onto the victims. So you definitely want to be getting them out of the fire hazard, aren't they? Hope that makes sense and answers your question, mate. Scrape them off. You can have a reskim over them if the ceiling's safe, it's got no lime wash or distemper, or you can overboard them. Right, Ryan 89. I like Kirky. Do you know what? My missus always used to call me Kirky, and it was like her little pet name for me until Coronation Street ruined my life. They put that actor in there, didn't they, of Kirky? So she used to then start taking the piss, calling me Kirky all the time. So I started calling her Fizz, and she soon shut up then. So, child talk. It's this Friday. I'm meeting Joe. Oh, my mistake. Sorry, mates. Brain like a sieve. Get it mixed up all the time. Wayne Smith. Hi, mate. Love your videos, but do you not sometimes wish your old man was a different trade? To be fair, my old fella's a plasterer. Fantastic plasterer. I can't fault him. He's old school plastering, so he's a bit slow at boarding and dabbing and things like that. K-Rend and that is a different world to him now. But when it comes to floating, sand and cement, browning, all that sort of stuff, he's flipping mustard at it, but he's sort of like retired now, the old man. Doesn't really do anything at all. He gets work. This is what he does do. He still gets jobs in and then flipping lands them on me. And I'm booked up for like 2 or 3 months. And he's saying, yeah, but you can fit him in like next week, can't you? And I'm like, Dad, no. I have to wait like everyone else. He's like, no, but he's a good lad, You'll fit him. I've told him you'll fit him in next week. I'm like, Dad, I can't. But anyway, we always find a way to flipping figure it out for him, because if you stress me dad out, he can't handle it. So you just have to just keep him happy and just sort it one way or another. But anyway, my old fella, that's what I was going to tell you. My old fella he's a fantastic plasterer, but he is really skilled with like woodwork. He can bricklay. He is good in them areas. I mean, he loves budgies and pigeons and stuff, and he builds all his own cages. He used to build all his own toolboxes. I remember as a kid, I used to go in his little shed, in his little workshop. Like what I've built in there now, in there is like my big workshop, and that's going to be for me to be, what I do, I build stuff and knock around, put bits together and what have you. But I'm hoping to spend loads of time with my son in there, teaching him things. Like my old fella, I used to go in when I was a little kid, and he'd be like, putting we had ferrets. He used to go hunting. My dad used to go lamping with lurchers and ferrets and all sorts of stuff like that, and he'd be making ferret cages and all this, and I'd go in and help him, flipping 7 years old, banging myself on the head with a ball peen hammer and all sorts of stuff. But he's quite good at a lot of things, my old fella, not just plastering. But then again, I sort of try to be quite handy. I'm not just plastering's my main thing that I want to do. That's my trade. But I did sort of go to college when I was 16ish, 15, 16. No, was it 16? I don't know. Anyway, I went and did my 236 part 1 and 2 City and Guilds as an electrician. Didn't stay for my final exam, but I know how to wire houses and stuff. So it's comes in handy, and everyone will do it and everyone will use it. I did when I was a kid. I thought I wanted to be an electrician. Turns out I flipping hate it. But I know I understand how to do the job, and it makes it interesting when I get on jobs and electricians, they try and pull a fast one and say, "Oh no, that's how it's got to." And I'm like, when I start explaining things to them, and they're like, "Oh, he actually knows what he's talking about." Him. It's a bit hard to sort of have me over with electrics. Right, I'll stop going on about me. Let's have a look at these questions. Chris Rolls. So, It's quite good, isn't it? I like reading questions straight off the cuff. I don't know what you're going to ask. Don't ask me any dodgy questions because I'll just read them straight out. I'm reading these without sort of like pre-reading them, if you know what I mean. They're just sort of coming straight out me as you're putting them in. Chris Rawls, hi Kirk. I skimmed over an Artex ceiling a few weeks ago. Turned out okay, but I know I can do better. Normally, I would just skim again, but I've noticed a possible problem. A small section has blown, but it's still holding up. Would you cut out the blown section and patch it, or just skim the lot and hope it takes the weight? No, if it's blown, mate, just cut it out. Just cut it out and see what's happened, see why it's blown. You may have missed a bit with sealer. You might not have put your PVA glue on, or your whatever you use. You know, you may have missed a bit, and that's why it's blown. What may have happened is what we touched on just a minute ago is you might find when you take it out that your plaster is adhered to the background. So your plaster is stuck to the Artex, but the Artex is pulled off. That might be the case. If that is the case, start scraping, get it all off, because the last thing you want is for it to fall down in one big sheet on top of someone's head. So, you know, just have a look. And it usually does that. It usually delaminates like that on the Artex if it's over lime wash paint or distemper paint. Or sometimes I have come across Artex that has been mixed so weak. I mean, you can literally rub the Artex away, you know. That can sometimes be an issue just because it's so dusty. So get that off. Find out what's gone on. If it's just your plaster blown off the Artex, scrape all the loose plaster off, seal the section, and patch it back up. Okay. If you find that your plaster has stuck to the Artex, but the Artex has come away, unfortunately, that means it won't just be one little part of the ceiling that's painted with lime wash or distemper, or it's not adhered well. The whole ceiling will be the same condition, so you're going to have to scrape it all off, mate. I know it's soul destroying, but don't try and add more weight to it because you'll make it more dangerous. I mean, I don't. Depending on how thick you put it on, I don't think it's going to kill anyone, but it will give someone the shock of their life. I mean, when it comes down, it makes a bang because it hits a big surface area in one go, but you know it's only that thick. It flipping hurts. and if it landed on kids, you'd be in big trouble. So definitely, you'd be in big trouble if what's going on here? Oh, there we go. Just come up on my phone then. Something went wrong. Tap to retry. So I don't know what happened then. He's all still here. Give me the little thumbs up if you. I don't know if I think I'm still live. Can you see me? Yeah, the likes are going up, so that's okay. Right, anyway, I hope that makes sense about the ceiling. Omar, hope you're doing good. And you, my mate. Hope you're keeping well, Omar. Zazzy, Kurt, just a quick one. I'm doing a kitchen soon. Now the lime plaster has cracked and fallen apart. Now, is it worth bonding the whole room, then do the finish? So, mate, if you've got a kitchen to do and it's lime plastered, this is going to be quite interesting for you now. I don't want to throw a curveball out there, but I want you to understand something as well. Not just you, mate, but for the benefit of everybody else, because I've seen loads of these jobs down the line sort of go Pete Tong. Lime plaster was mainly used in houses with no cavity. Okay, so the old sort of way of plastering was you had solid 9-inch walls and they had lime plaster on them, and when it rained outside, the brickwork would get damp and the moisture would travel through sometimes to the internal plastering, which is all lime plaster, which is all breathable, so it doesn't matter. You don't get any damp issues. Now, when you're working on houses that have got solid walls, which anything that's been lime plastered, usually there was a small period of time when they started introducing cavities, but still using lime, but it was only a small time frame before it all sort of switched over to sand and cement and then the sort of more modern finishes that we use now. So if the walls have been plastered with lime plaster, chances are that a solid wall, in that situation, if you put a gypsum-based back coat plaster on the walls, you're going to cause issues with penetrating damp. Okay, lime is breathable. So lime is a superior product. So ideally, what you would want to do in that situation is you can't dot and dab it, because that'll bring, well, you can, but there's a way. I'll tell you about it. You don't want penetrating moisture from rain to get to a gypsum-based product because it'll have damp. Same as if you dot and dab it, your dabs on the wall will cause damp spots. Now, ideally, you want to lime plaster it again, but I understand that it's hard to get hold of the lime and people don't know how to use it, and that's, fine. It's quite expensive, whatever. Your other option is to do it in sand and cement and put waterproof it in the sand and cement. You can do it that way, float the walls, make sure it's waterproof in it so you don't have to worry about penetrating damp, and then skim. Now, some people can't float, or they don't want to go down that whole process. Another thing that you could do is put a nice thick scratch coat on with waterproofer. This isn't textbook. All right, so before anyone starts giving me loads, saying he's a cowboy, he's telling people the wrong things, I'm just giving you another option. Float the walls with sand and cement, put a good thick scratch coat on with sand and cement with loads of waterproofer in it. You read the directions on the back of the tub, use the maximum amount to stop any penetrating damp. Once that's done, you could dot and dab the walls then onto the sand and cement, because you've got the solid 9-inch wall, but then you've got a barrier of waterproof sand and cement, and then you've dabbed your plasterboards on inside. That's a way you could do it. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's a way of getting around it. But I wouldn't put like hard wall or drywall adhesive straight onto a wall that had lime plaster originally. That being said, that's the external walls. If it's internal walls inside the house, then it's not going to cause much of an issue. Unless you're downstairs, then you've got the rising damp issue to make sure it's been injected, or you can understand, can't you? You just got to think down the line, am I going to get penetrating moisture? Am I going to get rising damp? Lime, you didn't have to worry about it because it's breathable. You didn't have issues with damp and mold and condensation when we had lime plaster. Now, hardly anyone uses lime plaster anymore. Why? I don't know. I believe it's like some big flipping conspiracy with the building game, because lime is just amazing. Maybe, I might be wrong, maybe it's something to do with like planned obsolescence in the building trade, like when you buy a car and it's only designed to last like 10 or 15 years, unless you buy a Toyota Hilux like me, and then they last forever. Like, maybe it's the same sort of thing with the building game. Maybe they've seen like there's still Roman structures built with lime plastering that are still intact, and they thought, we can't have this because we need repeat work, so let's start using, a product that deteriorates and gets damp issues. I don't know. I mean, let's think of the new build houses now, all dry lined, plasterboard walls. How long are they going to last? I mean, you go back. Kids, sockets getting, speed fix boxes, someone pulling plugs out the wall, the Hoover plug gets ripped out, rips the socket clean out the wall, flipping people slamming door handles into it. It's cheap and fast in it, but causes lots of repeat work in the future. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. Right, Tim Bell, what do you think of Blue Grit? I've noticed you use SBR only. Yeah, Blue Grit, I've used it. It's not my favourite product in the world. I would use it. The thing with Blue Grit is it takes forever to dry, which is a pain in the bum. If it's on like, if you do an extension, there's big steels and it's cold. I mean, I've gone back the next day and it's still wet. You still can't get over it. You're trying to put Blue Grit on the steel so you can dab your boards to the bottom of it, and it just takes like a week to go off or something stupid. So you have to wait for it to dry. Pain in the bum. SBR takes 20 minutes and you can get straight on it. PVA can take ages sometimes. If you're going over like a silk or a gloss ceiling, PVA takes forever. That's why I like SBR, because it dries really quick, so you can get on the job quite fast with it. Blue Grit, because of that grit, you've got to put the plaster on a lot thicker. So if you get a high spot, not that you're trying to put it on like a wafer thin, but if you've got a high spot on a wall, like a bump, and whereas normally you would sort of fill out, sort of flush with the bump, and the bit on the bump would be really thin. When it's got bits of grit in it, you've got to go thicker there as well. So the whole wall ends up being a lot thicker with Blue Grit. So you end up using a lot more gear, which takes longer. It's messy. I mean, flipping heck, those little bits of grit flick everywhere. I mean, I try not to get covered in plaster, but when you've used Blue Grit, little crumbs of it all over you. So that I would use it. I do sometimes use it, but I prefer not to, just for those reasons. Luke W, hi mate, only been skimming for about a year. vids are really helpful. Is it worth me joining your coaching group? If you want to get more work and you want to earn more money, then yeah. If you want to get better at skimming, then you can get all that from your YouTube channel, mate. Or you can, feel free to ask me as many questions as you want on the plastering side of things, on like the Q&As like this every Sunday. I'll tell you there's anything I can possibly help you with. Plastering related, but sort of like the other side of it. I would say when you do a domestic plasterer on site, when you're on site, plastering is 100% of your job. Literally, you don't need any people skills. You can turn up with a hangover, pissed off, like a bear with a sore head, throw the skirting boards out the flipping window because the joiner's in your way. You can have a piss in a bucket, no one cares. You just crack on, can't you, and do your job. Get your meterage up the wall and get it measured and get paid and get out of there. Sort of when you're doing private work, plastering is only like 50% of the job. Oh, please, someone's phoning me. Wait there a minute. Let me just send them a message. There we go. They should be gone now. Hope you're still here. Someone phoned me. Let me know if you're still here. Hope that hasn't cut everyone off. Give us a like. Give me a like. Can you see me? Don't tell me it's cut it off. Yeah. You're still here. Right. Where was I saying? Yes. When you're doing domestic work, doing the plastering is on. Just on a live. Thanks, love. Couldn't write it, could you? Plastering is only 50% of the job. You've got to get the work. You've got to price the work. You've got to deal with customers. When you're in someone's house, how do you act? You can't act like you're on a building site when you're in, a little old dear's house. You've got to be courteous and what have you. So, and that's the leads, the work generation, the pricing, all that sort of stuff. How to act around people. That's all sort of like what the group focuses on. So yeah. So I mean, I would recommend everyone join the group. I mean, you'll all earn more money. I mean, it's funny, innit? I got to a sort of level where I was quite happy, but now that I'm having to really think, because I've sort of internalized a lot of the processes that I do, and because I'm having to I've wrote like a bit of a curriculum out that I'm working through with the people in the group, because I'm going through it myself. I'm sort of reapplying the things that I've internalized and don't think about anymore, and actually I've been earning a couple more quid as well, so it's good for me as well. So I would recommend this to anybody. I mean, I can't see any harm in anyone. The link to the group is in the description of this video. If you want to join, the link's in the description. There's no secrets. It'll cost you £30 a month, but I guarantee you will make a hell of a lot more than 30 quid that it costs to join in for the month. So, and you can stay in there for 1 month. You can stay there for the whole month, and then you can nip off again, or you can stay in there as long as you possibly want, and just there's going to be constantly content added in the group. It won't ever end. At the minute, we're doing all we're just focusing mainly on marketing and bringing work in just via social media at the minute, because it's not worth me teaching all the sales stuff until we've got loads of work coming in. So the lads in the group at the minute, they're just focusing on getting loads of work in, and so setting the system up to make that happen automatically almost, where they just constantly get more work in than they can ever do. That's where we're at sort of at the minute in the group, and they're having success with that already, so that's good to see. Even though the whole sort of we haven't put any meat on the bones yet, we're just sort of focusing on that, but the whole system of how it all works is going to come together. It's going to be in another couple of steps, and they're going to really I know they're going to love that. But anyway, I don't want to go on too much about it, so as we said, let's just stay to plastering and the questions for now. Jamie, do you do any cornice work? Yes, did a job yesterday. We put some fancy cornice up. I was actually, the customers went and got some cornice, and I thought it was going to be like plaster, formed cornice, be it like, mold, running mold or whatever, reverse mold. I thought it was going to be actual plaster of Paris, that we're going to fit casting plaster. But when we turned up, it was actually polyurethane. I was going to do a video on it, but I just thought polyurethane, nah, it looked lovely and it looks exactly the same. But we just fitted it a bit different, and I just thought the video, it's going to be more like a DIY sort of video than a plastering video, so I didn't bother filming it. Sorry, maybe I should have done, but you know. Zazzy, give this lad a like, guys, because you know he'll ask. Yeah, I'm sort of trying to trick you into liking my video, aren't I? Now, well, I'm learning something actually. I'm learning on these lives now. If I get interrupted with a phone call, that I don't lose you, so we don't need to worry about that anymore. I'll just cancel the calls as they come in. Danny Arbuckle. I'd have loved it if my old man was a plasterer. He's a brickie by trade, but does it all. Can do a little bit of patching in, but he's no spread. I had to learn the hard way. Yeah, well, we all have to learn the hard way, Dan. Don't worry about it. I mean, the thing is, if your dad's a different trade, at least you can go and pick a bit of, bricklaying knowledge from his brains. You never know when that's going to come in handy. Chris McMullen, just overboard and skim job, done 100 years. Okay. Chris Walls, I use PVA. It was this issue that got me onto your channel, and now I'm using SBR and not had a problem since. Yeah, PVA is fine. There's some instances where I still like to use PVA. The thing with it is, it's all about the drying issues and the suction control for me. The suction that if you go over a high suction background, say you go over Carlite finish, it's going to suck like a bitch. Your PVA, it just isn't going to help. You're going to get one wall on before, that's as far as you can go. SBR, if you give it enough time to cure, it's like skimming over plasterboard. Whole room of that grey Carlite finish, you can reskim the whole room in one shot. It's fine. So the suction control is amazing with SBR. Not only that, if it's a bit tacky, you can get over it. PVA takes a bit too. Have you ever tried to skim over PVA when it's wet and the stuff starts to slide? I mean, I know never to do that, but I learned that the hard way. And especially if you get a little bit of a gloss seal in it, and the drips are staying wet for ages, and you're like, please, I just want to get this job done. And you try and skim it, and the PVA slides, and next minute it goes like chewing gum. It's just like the way around that, by the way, if that ever happens to you, if you ever have PVA slide, if you skim over PVA and it starts to slide round or anything like that, stop touching it with your trowel. Just stop, because the more you do it, it'll just drag more, and you'll end up with big clumps of it, and you'll have the bare ceiling showing and all sorts, or the wall, whatever. Just stop. Give it about 20 minutes. Just make sure there's no big lines in it. Give it about 20 minutes. Get your flat brush, dip it in some water, brush the wall all over. Yeah. Leave it, let it really firm up. Brushing it all over will knock the big lines out of it for you, and just leave it, let it really firm up like I do with the Artex ceilings until you can touch it. It's not sticking to your finger, and it's quite hard to leave an impression in it. And then give it a nice wet second coat. That's about the best way of dealing with it when it starts to slide on the PVA, Let's see. Jimmy's Bert. I was told not long ago that if you put a bit of board adhesive dab in your mix, it gives you a bit of extra time and cement if you want it to go off faster. Can you confirm? Bert, I can confirm that, yes. So I know a load of lads on site used to throw a couple of handfuls of drywall adhesive in the finish, and it made the finish a little bit more creamy and take a bit longer to go off when you're skimming. I never really got into doing it. I did it once or twice, but I think depending on what brand of board adhesive, it can actually make the stuff go a bit horrible to use, although it does take a little bit longer to go off, and cement will set your finish off faster. For me, it's all a bit up in the air, I like to really sort of know. Like if you put a handful of cement in your finish, it will set it off a bit quicker. That's true. Dirty water will set it off a bit faster. There's things that you can do to set it off quicker. You can put cream of tartar in plaster, and that slows it down as well. But it all depends, how much you put in. There's lots of variables involved. I'm not plugging this product, by the way. I know the fellow that makes the stuff. I know the fellow that, it's his company. Easy Mix, and at half time, extra time, half time for bonding. For me, it's just very easy to use. It's all measured out, so I just prefer using it that way. I mean, what's it cost for a sachet of it? I buy it in bulk, so it's not that expensive. One little bag of half time might cost you £2 or £3, but if it knocks an hour off your job, I mean, I don't know how much your job's worth, but it saves an hour. What if you lost £3? I mean, if I could do 5 bathroom ceilings in a day, all worth 150, £200 each, with half time, then what's the £2 or £3 that they cost to buy the sachet for it? Alex Evans, right, guys. I am aware we're getting up to an hour, so don't want to keep you all night. I don't want you to get bored of me, Alex Evans, hi Kirk, mate. Are you VAT registered, or any thoughts on the subject? No, I'm not VAT registered, mate. So basically, I don't want to say too much, because there's probably HMRC watching, or there's probably someone on it that's going to send the video to HMRC. So you have to be earning over a certain amount to be VAT registered. I mean, I'm only a lowly plasterer, mate. I don't earn that much money at all. Okay, I can earn a decent amount a day, but I only work 1 day a week. And VAT, I think, from what I've spoke to people as well, joking aside, I don't fiddle the tax. I have an accountant. He's all, crosses the T's and dots the I's. He's a straight-laced fella. Spot on. After I had the hassle last time with the tax, it ain't even worth messing around with them. I just pay me tax. It's just easier, less stress. But I think going VAT registered, from speaking to a good mate of mine who builds houses, in fact, you actually seen him, Wayne Jones, fantastic builder. He's going to be on Channel 4 soon. I'll be doing the plastering and the rendering on his build. It's going to be the worst house in the street. The program's called. I think it's coming out at Christmas time, and it's going to be on Channel 4. And basically, he gets this rundown old house, the scruffiest house in the street, like a big old bungalow it is, and makes it to like this modern thing. Anyway, it's going to be dead fancy. I don't know. I haven't seen the plans, but anyway, this fellow's VAT registered. I'm listening to the shenanigans he's had with the VAT man. No, I'm not even interested. I like the way I do it. I just go, turn up. I'm just, on my own. I've got the young apprentice working with me. Sometimes I have another plasterer comes in and works with me. We just keep it nice and simple. We just plod on doing nice little jobs for customers, and that's it. We're not trying to take over the world with loads of lads and loads of vans on the road. Started going down that route years ago and realised it's too much of a headache trying to employ loads of other lads, because you think you're going to be like a big plastering boss, as I've said on another video. You think, high flyer, you got your name everywhere, there's lads out there earning, and the reality of it is, it's like herding squirrels, okay? Trying to manage other men is absolutely just chaos. You end up becoming a marriage counsellor, a guidance counsellor, Alcoholics Anonymous. You're taking lads to, you're trying to get them into rehab. It's a flipping unless you can get, if you can get a couple of amazing lads, real one-offs, great, fantastic lads that you can leave around your customers. They watch what they say, they're careful how they speak, they're not offensive, they're polite and pleasant, they're good at work, and the clean workers, they leave top quality work all the time. If you can get them men, then that's amazing. But the fact is, if they can do all that, they're usually working for themselves and making themselves money and not making me money. Do you know what I mean? They want to go off and do their own thing. So yeah, you sort of when you're trying to get a load of lads to work for you, you seem not. I don't want to say something offensive, but you end up getting lads that aren't as public friendly, and then they're not good for your jobs, and then you've got the headaches with, they don't turn up, they let you down, there's sick pay, they're still in bed drunk on a Monday morning, and all sorts of, it's easy for me to just go to a job. It's only me. I've got the young apprentice with me. I might have another plasterer with me. We're in the same room and keeping my eye on exactly what he's doing, and we all have a good laugh and we have a good banter, and the jobs get done, and the work's top quality, the standard's perfect. I know exactly how we're dealing with the customers. They're happy. All the customers, we feel like friends by the end of the job. It's just, we've got it down to a nice little system, and I don't want to change it, to be honest with you. I don't even know where I was going with that. Sorry, mate, I forgot what the question was. Got wrapped up in my own little bit of spiel then, didn't I? Luke Metcalf, can you level out an uneven ceiling when overboarding, or would you just bond the difference out, or use skim? By the way, you're the top man. Mrs. don't like you always on the TV, lol. By the way, you're the top man. Mrs. don't like you. You're always on the TV, lol. Don't worry, Luke. Tell your missus, right? Don't even worry about it. So just like his own missus doesn't like him either. I've got 3 daughters in there, and they're sick of the sound of me as well, mate. So no big deal, mate. I've got thick skin, I can handle it. Yeah, leveling out when you're overboarding ceilings, you can do. You can do. I mean, the thing with it is, when you're trying to level out when you're overboarding the ceiling, if you haven't ripped the ceiling down, there's loads of different ways of doing it. One way that there's loads of different ways of doing this. I'm trying to give you the way that is not going to cause any sort of issues, because there are sort of non-textbook ways of doing it. I mean, you can sort of, not saying to go and do this because it's not textbook, but you could potentially put expanding foam on the back of a board where you know where it's going to land, where there's a dip. Yeah, and put a screw in so the board sort of stays where it needs to be, so the foam can't push it down. But then once the foam's gone off, take the screw out, and the board should stay flat. How well that sticks, I mean, that's down to you to test the background and all the rest of it. Depending on what needs packing down and where, you can put window packers in behind where the screws are going to go. But if it's right in the middle of a board, then you can't slide in to reach it. Sometimes we've cut strips of 3/8 board, 9.5 mil, if you're talking in new money. You can cut strips of that down and put your board on, and sort of where you can see it dips, slide the length of that in, a bit of 3/8 behind there, or 1/2 inch, or 15 mil, 1/2 inch, 12.5, or whatever thickness it is. You can pack it out that way and get it as close as you possibly can by doing that. And then you can, bond the ceiling or rule it off and finish. I mean, to be fair, I use all different methods. It just depends. I don't have a set way, because different circumstances, different situations, certain things will be easier to do than other things. Sometimes it's easier just to clock the ceiling and go, okay, go and get some 4x1 and just counterbatten the ceiling the other way. You can counterbatten over the old plasterboard and go the opposite way, and that way then it's very easy to pack counterbatten down, because it's only 4x1, it's only that wide, so you can put your packers in easy. 8x4s, when they're like that wide, trying to slide a packet into the middle is quite difficult. So that's another option. Anyway, let's keep going. Dean Dougie, there we go. Dean Dougie Plastering. Recently rendered over a painted render, hacked off loose areas and scraped off any loose paint. I used red grit, then embedded render mesh in the scratch coat, 2-coat sand and cement. Okay, mate. Thanks for letting us know. Dean Dougie. Yes, mate. I personally, mate, that's fine. Couple of things. Not knocking you as well, by the way. I'm just want to tell you the couple of things that are on my mind with doing that. Which it'll probably be fine, mate. But bear in mind, I don't like to scratch coat over anything. By the time I've scraped the paint off, it's just as quick for us to get the SDS hammer drills out. I mean, you can get Titan ones from Screwfix for about 70 quid. They take off render, no problem. So by the time I scrape the paint, I'd rather just have the young lad chop the render off, and then you get a good solid fix, save having to use the Rend-Aid on the smooth finish. I never go over paint. I always just say to them, we're chopping it off and that's it. The only things that I might go over is Pebble Dash, because it's a hell of a good key, but not if it's been painted. That, again, we chop that off. If the Pebble Dash is good and solid, then we'll potentially scratch coat over that sometimes. Now, bedding meshing is fine, but bear in mind, when you're bedding, you render mesh like your K-Ren sort of mesh and, you know, the stuff that's designed for monocouche renders, the little squares where the base coat squeezes through are only very small. It doesn't do it as well when you put it on with sand and cement. So what you end up sort of having to do is put a coat of sand and cement on the wall, and whilst it's still wet, push the mesh into it. Now it doesn't trowel in like it does when you're doing it on base coat, like a bag of K-Ren base coat. That'll just trowel in. So you have to put another layer of sand and cement on top of it to sort of encase the mesh. Because if you try and hold the mesh just straight on the wall and go over it, because the aggregate in the sand is a bit bigger than what it is in the base coat, it doesn't push through and adhere to the background quite as well. I mean, you probably found that when you were doing it, that, you know, you get so much mesh on, and if there's a little bit hanging off, both the whole flipping sheet of it just falls off again, because the sand and cement hasn't gone through and grabbed the wall quite as good as what the base coat does. So if I'm going to put mesh in, I always try and do it with K-Ren base coat, you know, just so it sticks better. I don't know how you've done it, mate. I'm not trying to be a tit and say you've done anything wrong. You know, what you've described there sounds good, but I just prefer to do it, you know, that way I've just described. Jimmy's Building Services. You might need a spare phone, I think. The kids call it a burner, so you can do all your YouTube and private group from it. Burner phones, flipping. Yeah, you might be right. Might be right. I get harassed to death on this flipping phone, mate. But oh yeah, Dean Dougie Plastering has just come back as well. I think maybe fixed EML might have been better. What do you think, mate? Great stuff, mate. Some helpful tips from you. Cheers. Yeah, fixed EML. That's definitely the best way of doing it. If knocking off wasn't even an option, if it had to stay on, then I would definitely EML. For anyone that doesn't know, EML stands for Expanded Metal Lath. Basically a sheet of metal, you put loads of little slits in it and then stretch it, and it goes like a mesh. Important to note as well, when you fix your EML to the wall, when you fix it on the wall, how can I explain this? They're like little diamonds, the shapes of the holes in it. So rather than square holes in mesh, they're like little diamond shapes. You want those little diamonds like a crossways, so they look like little eyes, you know, the same sort of shape as your eye. Oh, my eyes, I've got the little squinty eyes. But the diamonds go across like long ways, like that way, yeah? Not like that, if that makes sense. Now, when you do that, rub your hand down the outside. There'll be a smooth way, because depending on which way, when it's stretched apart, the metal twists. It'll feel smooth one way, and if you turn the sheet of it round and rub down it, it'll feel rough. It'll like scratch your hand a little bit. That means that the way the metal's twisted, your stuff will be clung to it. So you want it so that when you fix it to the wall and you rub your hand down, it feels scratchy. It's like rough on your hand when you go down. It'll feel smooth pushing up. You don't want it where when you run your hand down, it's smooth, because what that means is the stuff could slide off this way. You know, your sand and cement could come off the expanded metal lath. All right, there's a correct way and a wrong way to fix that to the wall. And for God's sake, be careful when you're cutting it. When you're going with your tin snips, man, put some proper gloves on, because one little mistake and it just I've looked like I've been, like, you know, flipping fighting with chickens before. Now I've come home and I've just covered in little holes where that stuff and it just slides straight into you. It's literally razor sharp when you cut it. I mean, when I say it slides in you, it just goes straight in. And the way the stuff acts, because it's been rolled up or whatever, when you unroll it, I mean, it flicks around and you're trying to get your hand off, it sticks to you and you're flipping, running around the blood squirting out. So just be careful, right, if you're using EML. Jamie Stewart, I do mostly site work around 2, 3 or 4 bed houses, complete a week with my labourer. Sorry, let me read this. This needs a bit of attention. I do mostly site work around 2, 3 or 4 bed houses, complete a week with my labourer. Okay, I put on between 4 and 5 buckets, put on and lace it straight down in one continuous cycle, but nowhere near as clean when putting on as you. Private, I'm a lot less messy, but generally have less meters I need to cover. Yeah, site work and private work, mate, is two completely different beasts, isn't it? I enjoy both, and in my opinion, I would prefer every sort of plasterer to work on site at some point in their lives, preferably when you're young. Site work, I think, is fantastic for young lads. Fair play to the old boys that are still bashing houses out on site. I mean, take me hat off to you. It's a hard game. Any site plasterer has got my flipping ultimate respect because it's hard graft. There's no shortcuts. You've got to work hard to earn money, and that's it. It's not nice. You're not working in nice environments. Ain't nobody making your own cup of tea and bacon butty on site. All you might get is flipping. The best you can hope for is that the last fella before you clean the house out before you turn up, and you haven't got to start flipping turfing bricks out and bits of timber and all sorts of crap that everyone's left in there. You know, if you can turn up to a nice house, that's about the best you can hope for. And I know some sites nowadays, your materials are loaded in for you. I never had that pleasure. We just had to load everything in. That was like, sound block boards up 2 flights of stairs and all that caper. I'm never going back to that again. But yeah, I think all young lads should go and do that first. Go and serve your time on site, just so you know what work is, so you understand when you're on private work. Then you go, this is nice, you know, because a lot of lads start on private work and think it's hard work, and trust me, you don't even know you're born. I mean, I'm not saying you don't work hard, but site work is horrendous. Yeah, once you've worked on site, you understand how much you can actually plaster. I mean, you really learn how fast you can actually go, and you learn about work, mate. Yeah. Where are we going now? Next comments. John Palmer, Kurt, you're a legend. Hope you have a great week, mate. John, thank you very much, sir. So do I. I hope this week's better than last week. No more flipping drilling wood out and cutting bricks in half. Michael Dix, Kirk, I'm a joiner by trade and also do bath me old man. He's an old school plasterer. I learned by doing it and watching him. Spot on, mate. I'll need to translate that word. Don't know what you meant there, but I got the gist of it. You're a joiner, but your old fellow's a plasterer. So yeah, flipping hard. You gotta. You understand why they drink, mate. You gotta wash the dust down at the end of a hard day. Amazing videos, thanks. This is do it yourself. Amazing videos, thanks a lot. I'm doing a bit now and getting good feedback. I'm learning a lot from your videos. Spot on, mate. Thank you. Appreciate that. There we go. Michael Dixie's just confirmed. Bathrooms. What is the best way to price plastering jobs? Example, a single ceiling as a plasterer. What I done on my bathroom jobs, I just had it to job price. Oh, you just add it to the job price. Yeah, I'm onto what you're saying, mate. When you do the bathrooms, you just add the cost of the ceiling onto the price and plaster it yourself. Yeah, so I'll be honest with you, when I go and do like the likes of a bathroom ceiling and stuff, or anything, I literally have a bare minimum price that I won't go to jobs for. And before someone even phones me and says, Kirk, we've got a little hole in a wall, a door handle's gone through the side wall in the porch or something, can you come and fix it up and stuff? Yeah, I can do. But just so you know, before I come out and see you, it doesn't matter to me how small it is. The process takes the same amount of time. I still have to mix the plaster, still have to trial it up, still have to wait there whilst it sets. So before I come and look at it for you, I'm just letting you know now, the minimum I will be charging is going to be at least 100, 150 quid, because it's just not worth me coming to see the job. Otherwise, I can be somewhere else earning more money, because it takes just, pretty much about the same amount of time. I mean, I know we've got accelerators and stuff, so we can sort of speed things up a bit, but, at the end of the day, what you do, run around doing jobs for 20 quid and stuff. So bathroom ceilings are the same. Pretty much, if I do a bathroom ceiling, you want to be charging at least 150, don't you, and then if you can go and do 3 of them a day, it's nice if you can just do one of those on the way home as well, isn't it, then? You can work all day, finish about 3 o'clock and just nip in and pop a bathroom ceiling on with a load of half time and get paid. Um, PDC Darts Daily. Hey up, mate. Need some info on a job I'm doing this week. I've had a client had a bad leak from the bath and it's dropped some of the ceiling in the kitchen. It's about 2 or 3 foot cut back now, and I need to patch in the existing Artex. I'm going to reboard it and attempt to match the Artex on the ceiling, as they don't want the full ceiling replastered because of the units. What's the best way to look at it? Shall I use multi and then use a stipple brush onto the board, or use proper Artex gypsum and do the same with the brush? Cheers, mate. So, patching Artex, it's not really my speciality, although I have done it. Landlords just want, someone's smashed, like you say, a little leak and they just want it patching up. Stippling with a brush. The thing with Artex is you're never ever going to get an absolutely perfect match. You can get very, very close. You can get it where you're almost not going to notice it. Don't get me wrong, I have stippled things with my brush, but it's a crap way of doing it. I've just done it when I haven't had my stipple pad with me. But go and get yourself an Artex stipple pad. You can get little ones, little blue ones, they're dead cheap, or you can get the bigger ones, they're not that expensive. Get yourself a stipple pad. You'll probably end up using it in the future. Artex. Right, again, don't start calling me a cowboy. I've never gone out and spent, I don't know how much a bag of Artex is, about 30 quid, but I've always got some drywall adhesive on the back of the van. And if you use like Knauf or North, however you want to pronounce it, or Lafarge, what other brands? Basically, any other brand of drywall adhesive, apart from British Gypsum's own brand, it dries really white. British Gypsum seems to dry like a grey sort of colour. And it for me, I'm always quite pleased with the job it gets, the job it leaves, just using drywall adhesive. Some people have said to me, just snip on the bathroom ceiling. So, dead tight little coat of soaking wet drywall adhesive, literally scrape it on there. You don't want it on thick at all. These boys, I've seen them Artex on the building sites. They used to just dip a yard brush on and paint it on, and someone would be going round. There's ways of getting all the different patterns. So if it's a stipple pattern, use your stipple pad. As soon as it starts to pick up, though, if it's starting to pick up a little bit, you might have to dip the pad actually in the material, in the bucket, to get that stipple. It's one way of doing it, or SBR the ceiling first and then use your stipple pad, and at least you haven't got any suction setting the stuff off. That's also, you get your broken squirrel with your stipple pad. If it's like, I think the pattern's called broken leather, you can put the stipple pad into a plastic carrier bag and just swirl it all over the ceiling, and that makes it look like the top of a Mars bar. I think that, I don't know if it's the same names, because I'm not an Artex. I don't know if it's the same names up and down the country, but that is usually called, where I live, broken leather, and it just looks like the top of a Mars bar. So with your stipple pad, you've got the stipple, the swirl, and the broken leather with a carrier bag. We used to do this with finishing plaster on garage ceilings for Redrow. We didn't have to skim them smooth, so we just waz them on, and we just, do some mad patterns with the, we do everyone different. And then we started using drywall adhesive just because it was white, and then they didn't have to paint it either. They could just literally, that'll be it, finished, because they had to fire line the boards. They had to put fire line boards on the garage ceilings if there's a bedroom above, and then they had to have some form of plaster on them. So we used to put drywall adhesive on because the agents liked it, because then they didn't have to pay the painter to go in and paint it. So yeah, there you go. I hope that's answered your question. But no, I've never actually used Artex, the real bag of it. I was gonna buy some until I seen the price of it, and then I thought, I've done this for years on site with drywall adhesive, so I ain't gonna go and pay like 5 times as much for the bag of Artex that you're gonna mix with warm water and all sorts of crap, when I can just do the same sort of thing with drywall adhesive. Yeah, there you go. Cowboy, absolute cowboy. Don't listen to him. Unsubscribe from his channel. Lamar, how much can you bench? So, I haven't been to the gym for ages, mate, since the baby's been born, and I stopped training heavy really, because it's hurting me joints. So if you've watched some of my other videos, I stopped training heavy because I was getting wrist pain from troweling, and I found that if I benched, if I was, I'm quite strong with my back, you know, and I sort of like like pull downs and chin ups. But that was giving me a bit of jip going heavy doing that as well. So I started doing boxing training, which is a lot lighter, and I lost a load of weight. And the missus didn't really like it because she was saying I was looking too scrawny. But anyway, how much can I bench? So let me work it out. 246, 120, 130, 140. I can do like 160 key for like I can rep sets of 10 out on 3 sets of 10 and I'm done. I've never really gone for a complete all-out max, but 320. This is what I'll do. Go to the gym. I get 320 plates either side. You know, I'd warm up first, get 320 plates either side. I'd get a set out like that, and then I'd have 2 10 plates put on as well. I'd need spotting. You know, I'd get to about 6 sort of on my own, and then just get out, you know, 10 reps with someone just giving me a little bit of a tweak on the elbows. But again, flipping hurts. The wrist really kicks my wrist off, so I don't ever do that anymore. Probably now, if I went to the gym, I'd probably struggle doing flipping 2, 4, 6, 8, 100k. I'd probably struggle doing 100k now. Doesn't take long to get back into it, does it? Though, you know, muscle memory and all that. Michael Dix. When's the next competition to win you for a day, pal? Well, I'll be honest with you. I've got to see Danny. So me and Danny Arbuckle, me and him are in quite close contact now. So Danny's actually in the group. Sorry, Danny, if you didn't want no one to know that. Just sort of like that. I'll spill out. Sorry. So me and Danny are pretty much speaking on a daily basis. So at some point when Danny is ready, when he picks a date, probably when I'm off this flipping nightmare of a job that I'm on, we're going to get that done. I don't really want to do another sort of like prize giveaway or something till I've sort of fulfilled the last one, if that makes sense, because otherwise I'll be owing days out work for flipping here, there, everywhere, you know. So I'll have to go and work all week doing you lot 3 days and earn nothing. So I don't know. Maybe at the minute I'm sort of consumed with trying to make videos, trying to keep me missus and kids happy, trying to run my own business and sort of make sure I'm giving as much value as I possibly can to the coaching group and making sure that I'm there for everything they need daily, you know, and putting as much content in there for them guys. And then I don't want to sort of try and do too many things on my channel at once, you know. It can get a bit too... Anyway, I think we're nearly at the end of the comments and we've done like an hour and 20 minutes, so my mouth is like flipping cotton. I've enjoyed the chat though, lads. I've enjoyed the crack. Palmer John, is it true that you smash your body with a trowel? Yeah. Like running around, like pretending I'm riding a flipping horse. Yeah, with a flipping little trowel going. Yeah, mate, yeah, it's true. Don't tell the missus. Douglas Life. It's called Broken Leather in Norfolk too. Oh, good stuff, yeah. You never know some of these terms, you know. Flipping, I call it a handboard, you call it a hawk. Flipping, you know. You never know if the terms, I mean, plastering, all plastering terms, who come up with half the names of tools for plasterers? Hey, a hawk, because it sits on your hand like that, you know. And then, what was the more creative? Comes hand board. I mean, you get your rule, a straight edge. I don't know why I had to call it a straight edge. Did they have a curvy edge somewhere else? You know, a wobbly one. A small tool. Get me the small tool. Flipping heck. It's when they ask for the big tool. That's when you're going to start worrying, isn't it? What happened? Luke Metcalf, what happened to the t-shirt idea? Nothing. The t-shirt idea... So I'll tell you what I did. I had a few little goes at making a few designs myself on a little app, and they were crap. The designs that I made for the t-shirts, I tried my best, but I can do some things. Right, I'll turn me on to a lot of things, and I'll have a go. And I did have a go, and I made some designs to put on the t-shirts, and they were absolutely shit. So what I did was I've gone on an app called Fiverr. I installed Fiverr, which I think was an American thing, but Fiverr UK. And then I've gone to graphic designers. I've messaged a few, and then like Indonesia, Pakistan, all these different places, and they will do designs for you. So I messaged a couple of these. A few of them got back to me. What you've got to do is pay these guys up front, and then they go away and do the artwork and come back and then check if you like what they've done, and then blah. So I wasn't 100% whether I was going to get ripped off or not. Just pay someone and then you just disappear because, you know, it was, what did this fellow want? I think it was about 120 quid. So I don't know. I've never been to Indonesia. I mean, I don't know if I've just made him like a millionaire in Indonesia or not. He might have just well ripped me off. That might have been like, I don't know. I don't know what no offense to any Indonesian people, because I don't know what you earn over there. I don't know what 120 quid is worth in Indonesia. But anyway, I said to him, I'll give you half now up front. And then send me some designs over. You can put a watermark on them so I can't whiz off with them for half price, and I'll pick the design, and when I'm happy with it, then I will give you the other half of the money, take the watermark off, and then I'll send that over to Amazon, who make the t-shirts, and we'll do all that. Now, here's the thing. The correspondence with these people, because they're on different time scale, is a bit of a nightmare. I've been mad busy. I have given him some money. He sent me some things. I've had a look at them. There's a few things I wanted to adjust. I've told him he's gone back to his drawing board and is working on that. Since then, I'll be honest with you, I have got a message off him, but I've sort of left him unopened. I should probably finish that up and just get that all tied up, but that's where I'm at the minute. I'll just go back, check that I'm happy with it. I'll probably just accept whatever he said, because I can't be arsed with the back and two. Because of these t-shirts, by the way, I'm going to get Amazon to fulfill the orders. So when you click on and buy them, it'll be like an Amazon shop. Now, the reason being is because Amazon sort out everything. I don't have to have stock of these t-shirts or anything like that. I'll just get some good designs that I think would be good for plasterers to have, you know. Maybe a few funny things, but nothing offensive that you couldn't wear to a customer's house. But some nice sort of, like, you know, interesting work t-shirts. But Amazon will fulfill all the orders and everything. Now, the thing is, Amazon want about 19 quid or something like that. You know, So for me to sort of sell them, like, I'm not going to make any money off them unless I start selling them for like 30 quid or something, you know, which who wants to pay 30? I don't even want to pay 20 quid for a work t-shirt, but that's just literally what Amazon want. So I'm going to basically sell these t-shirts. They'll be on the little store on the YouTube channel. There'll be basically no profit in it for me anyway. So I'm not dead keen to sort of like, I'm not focused on doing that, because it literally takes a lot of my time to sort of set it all up. Well, probably about a day, all in all, I'd have to spend doing it. You know, getting the Amazon link and doing all the whatever the stuff behind the scenes. I'm not very tech savvy, so someone with their head screwed on with this stuff would probably do it really quick, but I'm not that great at it. And all that sort of involved for me to make like £1 on each t-shirt or something, which by the time I get it and it's taxed from Amazon in America, it's just probably not even, it's not worth me time doing it, but I am going to do it. But that's why I haven't been pushing on it, because there's basically nothing in it for me, and I've been busy doing other stuff. But I have spent I've give this artist a couple of quid, so I am going to finish it off and get round to it. But that's where I'm up to at the minute, mate. Sorry if that was a long answer for a quick question. No. Where are we up to? A few. So that's, yeah, Luke Metcalf. That's what happened with the t-shirt idea. Danny Arbuckle, I don't mind, mate. We will do a video. I've been threatening to start a channel for a while, so this is the perfect opportunity. Yeah, Danny Arbuckle is going to be famous soon. In fact, when we come and do a day with Danny, when I go and do a day's work with Danny, or he comes to me, or whatever we're going to do, whatever Danny picks, hopefully, Danny seems like quite an outgoing fella. I haven't met him in person. He seems like he's a life lover and all the rest of it, like an outgoing guy, so we'll see. Hopefully Danny won't mind getting filmed and we'll make a video. That might be the start of his own YouTube career. Who knows? Lamar, I think Hawk and Trial were named by the Phoenicians. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, mate. I'm not the most intelligent of people. Then took on by the Egyptians. A lot of methods and tools are the same as ancient Egypt. Ions used. Yeah. It's interesting at the history. In fact, I've got a book up there by William Miller. They call it the Plasterer's Bible. Cost me a couple of £100. I think about £280, about 10 years ago. And he goes into the history of plastering right back to the Egyptians and stuff. I'll be honest with you, I didn't study that section of the book, but I probably will give it a read when I get 5 minutes, when I'm dead. No, I'm not taking the piss. I will have a look at that at some point. Do it yourself. You make ceilings look so easy and relaxed. I did one the other week for my smart mate. He had got some free plaster from a mate on site. The plaster was dated July 23, but it went off really quick. Yeah, be careful of free plaster. Ceilings looking easy. I think I just take my time, mate, but it's only from rushing for years. I've gone like a madman. I've done all that, going like a lunatic as fast as I possibly can. I sort of know where I'm at with the material, so that's why I'm so relaxed. I mean, sometimes it goes a bit quicker and I go a little bit faster, but it's all about, I think, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. If you take your time and concentrate on what you're doing, making sure your trowel is only overlapping a tiny little bit, you're not dropping loads of stuff. If you take your time and do that and concentrate on your technique, you actually end up being faster. So I can literally, if we've got a decent sized ceiling and there's another plasterer with me, if I've gone to give someone a hand, get a big ceiling on, I will literally be going nice and steady, and they'll be going like the clappers, and I overtake them. I get down my half of the ceiling quicker because I'm concentrating on what I'm doing. I'm not doing loads of repetitive movements. Going over the same bit 5 times like a madman. I just nice and steady on. Anyway, you've seen the videos, haven't you? Slow, smooth, fast. That's what I've learned from going like a flipping lunatic for years. It took me nearly as long to get the last 20% on as it did the other 80%. It was so still. I was crying by the end of it. It's a good job I'm married, as my right arm wasn't working for days. I'm not even going to read that again, mate, in case your missus is watching. I'm going to get you in trouble. Right, we've got Danny and Jimmy's building services and having a little chat to each other here. So, and Jimmy's actually said it as well. Kirk, me and Danny are just having a chat between ourselves, mate. Yeah. I wasn't going to start reading all the chat out. These guys are just having a little bit of a laugh between themselves in the comments. Levi Moss, sand and cement or hard wall? Oh, sand and cement or hard wall? Okay. My preference would be sand and cement. Sand and cement for me, it's cheaper, it sets harder. Even though it's called hard wall, it doesn't quite set as hard as sand and cement. It's cheap. The dimension is cheaper. Sand and cement is loads cheaper. Yeah, hard wall, and as well, you've got limitations with hard wall. Certain places you can't use it, as we said before. 9-inch solid walls, all that sort of caper. You can't be putting gypsum-based back coats on there. But hard wall can come in handy if it's a smaller job. For instance, if you want to skim it, the same day, then hard wall can come in handy because you can get it on in the morning, skim it in the afternoon. You can't do that with sand and cement. You've got to sort of let it shrink a little bit first before you skim it. Oh, guys, have you had enough of me yet? Takes a lot of effort, to just talk non-stop for an hour and a half. I probably make it look easy, but I'm literally, you might think I'm a dead chatty guy, right? You guys now have just had an hour and a half of me talking non-stop, right? I'll go in the house, I won't say another word now. That'll be me. I'm all talked out, I've got nothing left to say. Oh, right, before we sign off on this episode, is there anything left? Has anybody got anything they want to know before they go? Don't want to leave anyone hanging. So if you want to say anything, you've literally got 2 seconds to get your comments in. What's interesting is I haven't had any abuse on these lives yet. I actually thought to myself I was going to get trolled, you know. Not that I was looking forward to it, but I thought it was a possibility. I might get people giving me stick. So I don't know if there's like, you know, people that don't like me watching and they're just waiting to fire into me. I don't know what they're holding back for. Bring it on. I'm only messing. Don't. Just keep your negativity to yourselves. Just a few more little comments. I've just come in. Levi Moss agreed, but love the content. Yeah, Levi agreed. Sand and cement or hardwall. He prefers sand and cement as well. I mean, hardwall's got its places. I'm not knocking it. As I said, it's good if you want to sort of get on it the same day. Jimmy's building services. Good night, Kirky, or should I say Fizz? Oh, mate, you know what? Sad, really, isn't it? All through primary school, all I ever got was Captain Kirk from Star Trek, right? Never watched Star Trek in my life. I think I've seen one episode. Don't even really watch hardly any telly, to be honest with you. But I've never been a sci-fi sort of fan. I always liked, you know, I was more into Rambo and Terminator rather than Star Trek. So I got Captain Kirk all through school. And then flipping Coronation Street, everyone started calling me Kirky. I don't watch soaps. Didn't know what everyone was going on about for a flipping couple of months until, you know, someone was showing me pictures, and then you realise, I mean, no offence to this fella, he's probably a great guy, but he plays a dork, doesn't he? So he plays a bit of a muppet in the TV show. So people aren't saying it being nice, you know, they're basically insulting me, calling me Kirky on Coronation Street. I've got thick skin, you know, I'm good for the banter, but yeah, flipping my name is not it's not fared me very well up to now, has it? But what's interesting is my little son have also called him Kirk as well, so just so he can suffer as much as what I have, you know. Don't want that little fella getting away with any pain. I want to make sure he feels the brunt of having a flipping crap name as well, so he's also called Little Kirk. We've got Big Kirk and Little Kirk now. Stephen Wilson, get yourself away, mate. Have a good night, Stephen. You're spot on, mate. Michael Dix, just a quick one, Kirk. What is the main difference for board finish and multi-finish? Oh, I noticed you use board finish for everything. Yeah, the main difference between board finish and multi-finish is multi comes back a little bit. You can wet multi towards the end stages. You know, your second wet trowel, you can literally wet it up and start bringing the stuff back a little bit. Not a, you know, it's not going to go wet again and start like, you know, but you can get fat up on multi quite easy. That's one main difference. And the second thing is it takes a little bit longer to go off, adds about an extra half an hour on your gauge. So I like using board finish. I would rather do 3 small mixes or smaller mixes a day. You know, I'll get like 3 bags on a mix. 3 of those a day, it's like 9 bags. I mean, I don't want to do that. That was sort of like, you know, if you're putting a load on. Most days I use about 4 or 5 bags. That's it. But I want it to go off quite fast as well. You know, I'll use like 2 bags on a little gauge in the morning, 3 bags in the afternoon, or vice versa. And that's me done for the day. And the faster it goes off, the better. If you're a beginner, extra time, then multi-finish is great, you know. Gives you a little bit of extra work with it. It takes a bit longer to go off, and you can bring it back a little bit if you haven't quite got it as flat. But yeah, board finish for me. I prefer it. I will use multi if that's what's on the job. If the customers have bought their own gear and there's a multi, then I'll use it, but I'll just drag my heels a little bit. Lamar, the author of that plastering Bible, I missed it. Right, I'll tell you who it was. William Miller. Let me just get it for you, because I'll show you that it's published by Don Head Publishing, I think. Wait there. This is it, mate. The Plasterer's Bible. In the front, it did have a picture on the front. It's can you see it? There was a little bit of gold leaf stuff on there. It's gone now. It's worn off. I'll show you. Give us a second. I mean, it's look, it's falling apart. The flipping pages are coming out and everything. I have read this as certain sections of it loads of times. I got into doing loads of coin stones and cement mouldings and all that sort of stuff. So it come in handy. I ended up doing a job down in. Oh, where was it? I don't think. A job somewhere. We had to do cement mouldings right around the building, so I hadn't done them before. took this with me and basically learned on the job, taught myself how to do it. Where's the front page? There we go. So if you want this, mate, it's not that easy to find. I wouldn't even know where to find it now. But that's the author, William Miller. He explains in this that I think this is about the first. Look how thick that is. He wrote the first book and there was a fire and all of his work went up in smoke. Like, it all got burnt and he had to start his whole life's work of writing all this down all over again. The publisher is Don Head. Now, I got this years ago before the internet was really that widely used. You might find it easier to get now. I mean, have a look if you want to buy one. Have a look if someone's selling one second hand. Because when I bought that, it was a few £100. You might want to spend a few £100. I don't have a brand new one, but at the time, I heard about it. I didn't really know about it, but that's I wanted it. You know, anything sort of plastering related. I mean, I've got flipping loads of plastering books. There's another one that's quite good. There's Don Head, the same publisher, do this book as well. The Modern by Varel. And there's 2 volumes in here. Look, see, you see that volumes 1 and 2. So there's 2 books in this, made by the same publisher. Not quite as extensive as what William Miller goes into. William Miller's quite funny as well, actually. He's a Scotsman and he's got like a portrait of himself in there, like he's a flipping. You can tell he's very knowledgeable, but you can tell he's a nutter as well. Which, I mean, I like nutters, so it's quite good. You know, you can tell he's a bit flipping. I think all plasterers are a bit crackers, aren't they? You have to be. You know, when you're a kid and you get told by the teacher you're naughty, go and stand in front of the wall. Yeah, well, flipping, I've been doing that for 20 years, so you have to be a bit nuts, don't you? Right. Mike Lawton. Have you ever used EcoRend? Yes, I have, mate. I'm using it for the first time and unsure when to scrape it, same day or the following day, which is best. Very similar to K-Rend. All Monocouche renders are the same, pretty much. There's a few variations, things that are different with different renders. I scraped it the same day, put it on in the morning, scraped it in the afternoon, but it all depends on time of year. If it's freezing cold, if you go back and you touch it, I'll tell you now, you know, when you can scrape it. If you start to scrape it and it's clumping up, if it's sticking, you know, to the float, I mean, don't use nail scratch floats, whatever you want to call them. I use a bar, but just test it with the nail float. If it all sticks in the nails, it's too wet. I mean, you know when you can touch it. You can't really leave them too long. They're just harder to scrape the next day, you know. But whatever you do, bear this in mind. Whatever process you start, if you do one wall and you put it on in the morning and scrape it in the afternoon, the wall next to it, you've got to do the same thing. You can't switch halfway through the job because the times left between them slightly changes the colour a little bit. But EcoRend's okay to use. The worst one I've used up to now, I didn't like it, was Parex. And they've actually been bought out by Sika and moved the factory. So whether Parex back in the day was easier to use, but once you've got it on the wall, if you try and flatten it in a little bit, once it's sort of picked up, it seems to dry on the surface and get a skin on it. And then when you try and flatten it in, it drags across the wall and slides. Not like K-Rend, to be fair to them. K-Rend it's quite nice to use. It's a little bit horrible putting it on with, but you can flatten it in easier towards the end, you know, as it's going off a little bit. So I don't know, there's loads of different ways of doing stuff, isn't there? There's probably lads on here that do it a completely different way to me and say no, he's doing it wrong. But I've got a system where I'm happy doing what I do and it seems to work for me. I don't have any complaints. The jobs always look mint. I don't have any dishing, you know. So I've done videos on my way of doing it, but there's people in the comments, if you go and read them, that disagree and say you should do it this way or that way. You should use serrated straight edges and what have you to get the air bubbles out. But what you've got to admit, we're going off on a tangent. When you use a serrated, just to clear this up, when you get little air pockets in your Monocouche render, usually they're at the back, they're between the base coat and the surface of the top coat. The air is trapped behind the coat. So using a serrated straight edge will not release that air. It's only going to scratch in the surface of the product. It's not going to scratch through and let the air out, is it? So that makes sense, because I had quite a few people saying serrated straight edges release the air, but they don't. In my opinion, I don't know where you're getting air bubbles, but whenever I get air bubbles, they always seem to be at the base coat level. So I put it all on. Once it's picked up a little bit, I go all over it again. If there's any little air pockets, I pierce them with the corner of my trowel and then flatten them and make sure it's closed in nice. But we're going down a different subject here, so. Jimmy's Builder Services. Jimmy signing off. He's a good night, bud. Luke V. Genuinely really appreciate the videos, mate. Thank you. Thank you, Luke. Lamar. I've found it, Mr. Miller. Good stuff, mate. Yeah, you won't regret buying it. Danny Arbuckle. Okay, last one. Do you actually watch Corrie? No, Danny, I don't. Don't start. That's what we're doing. When you come with me for the day, we're putting the omnibus on. We're watching it from morning till night with a cup of tea. Mike Owen. Hi, Kirk. What's the main cause for tiger stripes? New trowel, using too much water, or too thick. That's the main reasons I find, mate. Paul's trade. Do I seal that ceiling again? I first coated it earlier, but it frazzled on me a bit, so I didn't want to skim today. So tomorrow, do I SBR it before I skim it? Yeah, if you put bonding or hardwall on and you've let it, bonding and hardwall, ideally you want to be skimmed the same day when they are set or starting to set, but are still damp and wet. If you leave them to the next day, hardwall isn't as bad. Hardwall doesn't have much pull on it, much suction. Bonding does suck. So if you've used bonding, then you're going to need to seal it before you skim it. So you can PVA that or SBR it and then get your skim on. You could soak it down, you can wet it, but you've got to use loads of water. You probably make the room a flipping swimming pool, so it's probably just easier to seal it. Jimmy's Builder Services. I've been told we're getting rid of the Sky TV because all I do is watch plastering on YouTube. Andrew Barraclough. Hi, mate. I have been boarding up a conservatory today. Used 8 boards in total. It was round windows, doors, plenty of sockets. The roof was angled. It took me all day. My question is this normal? Most connies, mate, if we'll board and skill on the same day. If they're a warm roof, then there's no reason, mate. If it's took you all day, it's took all day. I mean, what can you do? You'll only get faster by doing it more and more. If I'm doing a conservatory with a warm roof on it, I've got a lantern to go round, then I'll probably spend all day boarding and dabbing it, beating it all up, and it'd be a nice, easy day. In my opinion, I'd be done for about 2-3 o'clock. Without having to work very fast at all, and then skim it the next day in 2 mixes. If it's a little connie, just the one wall that goes into the house and round the base, chances are we'll dab that, and chuck it on in the afternoon, skim it in the afternoon. But I mean, I've been plastering for 20 years, mate, so I don't know. It's just the speed I sort of work at. I don't have to go rapid to do that. I just plod on. Tell you one thing about getting fast at plastering. Don't stop. You don't have to work dead hard. You don't have to go really quick at anything you do. Just constantly be doing something. Just plod on. Site work teaches you this. There's always something to do. There's always some water to get. There's always a bit of cleaning up to do. There's always something that needs scrimming or beading. Do you know what I mean? So constantly just be doing something, and you'll watch how much faster you are. Put your phone in the glove box in the van. Especially your apprentice's phone, get them off that, and don't do too much talking to the customers, and you'd be amazed at how much more work you actually get done. When you seem to stop and do something, it takes you 10 minutes to get back up to what you were doing again. You're in the middle of measuring a board, and someone yaps to you, and then you've got to stop, and by the time you get your brain into measuring again and thinking again, it just takes longer. So Lamar has just found that book by Miller for 120 quid. Thank you. It's the 4th edition. Now, that may be added to the bookshelf. Cheers for that. Great stuff. There won't be any more editions, I don't think, mate, because he's dead. So I don't know what edition mine is. I'll just tell you, seeing how we're talking about it now. Let me just see what edition this is. Doesn't say. It may say somewhere. I don't want to waste your time reading it. Mine says it's the Mine's the introduction to the 1998 edition. There you go. Mate, it doesn't matter what edition it is. All the information in there is amazing. If there's a slight variation, it's only going to be something probably that won't even apply to us, you know. Just bear in mind, there was no such thing as board finish and multi-finish when that was wrote, okay? British Gypsum didn't even exist, the company, so any of their products aren't even mentioned. Plasterboards, I think there's a mention of plasterboards in the sense that they made slabs of plaster and fixed them to the wall, but they weren't paper bound, so a lot of that is going to seem like a foreign language to you if you have, you know, if you don't know much about traditional plastering. But once you get your head around the fact that the materials are all like lime and cement-based stuff, then you'll be onto it, mate. Okay. Michael Dix, cheers, pal. Catch you next Sunday. Have a good one. Have a good week. Cheers, Michael. Every Sunday at 7 o'clock we do a live Q&A. Andrew Berkloff, use your tip of adhesive on the small reveals and looks great. Skimming it all tomorrow. Great stuff, Andrew. Laura, cheers for that, big man. Omar, good night, Kirk and chat. Interesting, might have a look for that book. Jeff Jones, evening, Kirk. Everyone, is there always a live stream on a Sunday evenings? Jeff, yes. Sundays at 7 o'clock we tend to do a live stream. Jeff, don't forget as well, I recognise your name. There's also another live stream for you on Tuesdays at 8, mate. Danny Arbuckle, I got it. The William Miller book, mate, although not a vintage version like yours. It's a brilliant read and some interesting stuff in there. I love reading myself. Yeah, I'm a bookworm. I am a big bookworm, to be honest with you. A lot of my stuff, well, I say I'm a bookworm. I love having a hard copy of stuff. I love reading books on my phone because I love reading in bed. So I can lie in bed with my phone, like my Kindle. I can lie sideways trying to read a book in bed, you know, and you're trying to hold the page up and your arm's aching and your missus is moaning because you've flipping got the light on and all that. So I read a lot of books on my phone. Mike Lawton, thanks for answering, Kirk. Not a problem, mate. That's what it's all about. That's why I love doing these lives, mate. If you've got a question and I can genuinely help you, I genuinely hope that I am helping. Kevin Sexton, ask the plasterer poured concrete ceiling internal. Can I SBR that and use bonding and skim over it? Let me just think for a minute, Kevin. That's a very good question. See, if you don't know my story about using SBR, I've sort of explained this in a video about it, how I started using SBR. I started using it on accident, basically. Not no one's ever sort of taught me to use it, and I've not really been schooled on the subject. So I know it works for skimming over SBR. I've never put big thick coats of back coat plaster on it and then finish. So I wouldn't like to recommend something, mate, and it go wrong on you. If you're going over a concrete ceiling, I mean, you could grit it. You could do a test patch, Kevin. That's what I would do, mate. I would genuinely do a test patch. I'll put some SBR on the ceiling. I'll have to try this out, but I haven't had many concrete ceilings to go over with bonding and finish. I would put a patch of bonding on, you know, a couple of feet square to the right thickness and leave it go off and see how well it's stuck. Do a pull test on it the next day, you know, see if you can scrape it off, add some scrim into it, leave a bit of scrim hanging out and give it a good tug and just see. I can't see why it'd be a problem, but I wouldn't like to recommend something that I've never done myself, mate. Your other option is drill and fix, expand the metal lath to it, or rib lath, you know. But I can't see why a tight coat of bonding and skim would be a problem. But as I said, I wouldn't like to recommend something that I've never done myself. Danny Arbuckle. Go to the Rovers with a pint of bitter. Don't start, Danny. Mike Owen, cheers, Kirk. Richard Main wearing. That's spot on. Danny Arbuckle, get yourself away, mate. You've put a good shift in tonight. All the best. Yep, spot on. Omar, I've done a concrete ceiling blue grit, bonded and skimmed it. No problems. There you go. Omar, just reiterated what I said, grit it maybe because there's a bit extra key for the bonding. Jeff Jones, how long does it take for this stream to post on YouTube? Unfortunately, tuned in late. Once I finish this, mate, it starts the process. I think it takes about 40 minutes to an hour, Jeff, before this will be searchable. If you go to my channel, go to lives, and it'll be in the lives, and it'll be called, just 1 second, let me make sure I get it right. Check the title of this video now. I think it's episode 8 or 9. I don't know, but it'll be in the lives, mate. Make sure you get the right video because you could be watching a live from last week instead. Do us a favour, lads. Stop asking me questions now because I want to sign off and the questions just keep coming in. Dale Kefford, have you overboarded a conservatory roof? If so, what system installation was used? Yes, I've done a few where they've converted their conservatory roofs into a warm roof. Now, the thing is, I haven't built the framework because I've never been asked to do it. And also, not only that, conservatory ceilings, they weren't designed to be having frameworks attached to them. So you've got to be careful how far you screw in, because if you go too far through a seal, you're going to cause a leak, all sorts of stuff like that. So I've gone over them. I think the lightest system is to use an MF system. You know, what you see on apartment blocks on new builds when there's concrete floors, block and beam flooring, they put an MF ceiling in. It's got like a, you know, wall track, top hats and hangers and all that, you know. That's very light. Timber's a bit more bulky, a bit more weighty, so I'll probably go down the metal route. For anyone that doesn't know, it's metal ceiling. It's like as thick as Meccano. You know, your drywall screws go through it though. You can get drywall screws specifically for metal, and they've got like a little drill bit on the head of them. They've got a special name, but I can't think off the top of my head because you caught me at flipping 9 o'clock at night. I'm frazzled out. Omar. Richard Mainwright. Foam versus bonding coat for holes and sockets. What's your opinion? Right. I wasn't a big fan of foam, but it has got its uses depending on where you patch. So say, for instance, if you are patching round some hot and cold pipes behind a sink in an ensuite, and you're trying to fill it with bonding and adhesive and you're putting scrims on it's all falling in, then you could potentially just foam around those. You've just got to remember, if you use foam and cut it off nice and flush, that it's not as solid a background as finish. So you don't really want it. If you've got a hole in the middle of a wall or where the door handle's hit and potentially going to hit again, and you fill it with foam, cut it off, put a bit of scrim on it and skim it, you've got to bear in mind that if that door handle touches that same spot, I mean, you're only relying on the strength of the finish, aren't you, in the scrim, so it'll just smash dead easy next time. That being said, there's certain areas where are hard to reach, an absolute nightmare to fill with any sort of back coat plaster, so foam could be used in those situations, in my opinion. And if there's heating pipes buried in the wall and there's not enough space to dab a board completely straight across them, and you completely fill over those pipes with solid plaster, the hot pipes are going to expand and contract and cause cracks around the heating pipes. So foam is great for that situation. You know, foam all around the pipes, cut it off nice and smooth, scrim over it and skim over it. Then them heating pipes can expand and contract inside the foam and not crack the outside plaster. Or well, you've done as much as you possibly can not to crack the plaster on the outside, the finishing plaster. Jimmy's Building Services, I've come back and you're still here, mate. Your good lady kids must want to see you. Right, I'm going. Oh, guys. It's been a pleasure. It's been emotional. I love yous all. I'm going to finish with beer. I'm going in for something to eat. I'm starving. For anybody that's still watching that asked about the coaching group, check the description. There's a link in the description. There's a link in the channel descriptions in the coaching group. There's a link on the last normal video to the coaching group. There's a few links. If you want in, you'll find your way in. Click the link, takes you straight to a little landing page where you can read a bit of the spiel about what goes on in the group, and you click on there, and then you tell me if you want going. Gives you a little box if you want to go in the Facebook group, or if you want to go in the WhatsApp group. You can pick. You can go in both. It doesn't matter. Some people aren't on Facebook. I would say that you're going to benefit the most if you are on Facebook from this group, because the marketing side of it, that we generate a lot of free leads, is mainly on social media. And Facebook seems to be the best place for it, because the target customers, the people that we're targeting, are mainly on Facebook. You know, that generation that we're trying to target. You know, TikTok full of kids, Snapchat's kids, isn't it? You know, you don't really want to be advertising or spending all your energies attracting attention from people in the 20s that potentially, there's always exceptions to the rule, but potentially haven't got a lot of money. You sort of want to be targeting the clientele that have worked their whole lives, got loads of savings, just retired, big payout from work. The kids have grown up and left home. They want to do the house up. They want to get it nice. One time, they've had cowboys in the past. They want to pay and get a decent job. They're the sort of people that we want to be going after. So, it's been emotional, Jimmy. It has been emotional. What are you having for your dinner? I don't know. I'm going to probably get, it's 9 o'clock now. If the missus hasn't cooked nothing, there's a good chance it's Sunday. I'm going to phone my mate Abdul from the Essence of Spice in Ellesmere Port and get myself a lamb chop phasey, I think it's called. I just ask him for me a recommendation sometimes. I love Indian food, so I'll phone him up, Abdul, or Jules, his nickname is. Say to him, all right, flip flop, it's your fat mate. We have a bit of a banter. And then sometimes I'll just say to him, send me 30 quid's worth. And he just sends me anything. So that I try new stuff, you know. He's a good fella, to be fair. Or my go-to, I love a chicken shashlik, and I'll have Boona sauce on it, and a Madras side sauce as well. With I like what's the keema rice, you know, with the meat in it, and a cheese naan bread or a chapati bread. Getting hungry just thinking about it. Don't forget the onion bhajis and the mixed kebab starter. Right, I'm off. Love you all. I'll get a couple of videos out for you soon, I promise you. Take it easy, gents. Have a nice evening. Oh, where's this flipping button? Oh, when you talk for 2 hours straight. Flipping heck. Night, matey. Thanks. Rest well, buddy. Ciao, fellas. There it is. Come on. Flipping fucking button. Every time you press the screen, it goes off. It's like when you answer, you know, when you put your phone to your ear and the screen goes off because it's touching your skin. Trying to press this fucking button here and it keeps disappearing. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yeah. Right, I'm off, boys. See you later.